bit crazy here at the moment. My cat just literally spilt my drink on my table. I don't know what's happening, but she's not liking the cold and she wants me in bed cuddling her, as you do. Okay, welcome today. My name's Linda. I'm a mental and emotional health mama, so helping us do life better for our kids, for our grandkids, and for the generations that come after us. Now, today is a really super important topic, okay? We've got to talk about how to keep our kids and our grandkids safe online. And one of the hardest things we'll do is have these conversations with our kids, because we first have to learn how to have the conversation. We didn't have that conversation from our parents to us because technology wasn't here then. Technology wasn't even here when I first had my kids. So it's been a whole learning process as to what technology will mean in their lives, and now another learning process as to what technology will mean in my grandkids' lives. So first of all, let's grab our list so that we can keep an eye on what's going on. Okay, so when our kids have tablets, so they're young, and let's face it, these days they go to school and they get tablets from prep, kindy, whatever your state or your country has as their first year of school. Certainly in Australia, they're actually having iPads from the get-go, all right? So we have to be aware of parent-safe applications, apps, brain fade. Okay, and at that age, they're not going to have objections to us putting parental controls, etc., on them. However, when they're teenagers, and the internet really started to take off when my kids were teenagers, I told them straight out that they can have zero objections to me having access to their internet history at any time or to what they're doing online. And the reason I said that is, one, I was paying for it. And two, we had a very expensive lesson in data management and how to use data, because back then we didn't even fully understand that when they're at home, they had to have their phone set to hook into the home data plan, not go out and about and use their data. So when my kids were teenagers, it was, you don't use your data when you're out unless it's to ring me, talk to me, text me, etc. And if you want to talk to your friends when you're at home, then make sure that you're hooked into the home data plan, because of course it's far more extensive and you can talk to your friends all you like from home. Okay, so you're going to have to become aware of data management pretty quickly. Otherwise, when they're out and about, they'll be using a gazillion tons, etc., which is okay if your data plan's there to manage it. Okay, the next thing I talked to them about was the fact that we would be friends on social networks. So whatever social network they were on, I was friends with them, hence why my kids are still friends on my social networks, and we hide nothing. It's just how we went through it all together, and it made life a lot easier. So then you're going to have to check on any chat forum apps have to have a history, i.e. Snapchat images disappear. So you want to make sure that you can check a history at any point in time. And the reason why you're checking history is you can see where they're going, what they're doing, etc. It's all there in their history, and you don't actually have to go in and check on their conversations. The one thing I did say was that if any of their behaviour was out of whack, I would go and check their conversations. So it's a case of who were they in a chat group with. So chat groups were a pretty big thing, and they still are. So make sure that they're in chat groups with friends, okay? Friends that you know of, you know where they're from, etc. If they don't have a chat history, then they shouldn't be using them, okay? Not as a young teenager. It's just not going to be healthy. If they're going to use them, however, make sure they're talking to you about what chat forum they're in, why they're in it. Like some chat forums these days actually have special focused... What is wrong with my brain today? Some chat forums actually specialise in particular conversations, a particular focus, okay? So they will focus on, say, the latest Star Wars movie, and then everybody's in there chatting away. Now, one of my younger teenagers told me about an app called Amino, which came out, she says, a few years ago. And at first it was good, like all things on the internet. At first it starts out good with the right intentions, and she actually ended up in a chat forum about a particular subject, which was innocuous, didn't mean much at all. It was just the everyday thing, latest movie, and led her down a really dark path because you cannot verify the age of the people you're talking to, okay? And you don't know whether they're adults, you don't know whether they're stalkers, etc., etc., etc. So if you need to educate your kids about this sort of thing, about the type of people that are on the internet. If they want to go into chat forums, then make the chat forums like on Instagram. You can do multiple chats on Instagram and it's live. So teach them to do live videos, as in not live video like one-on-one, but live video chats in chat rooms. My daughter actually, so this would be, let's just say about 10 years ago. It's probably too far, but anyhow, there was Skype calling, which they still do, Skype calling, and you can have your camera on or off, but have your camera on and somebody you know adds you into the Skype call, and then all around the world people get added into the Skype call. Now she's actually made really good friends around the world from that, but she was only introduced to the Skype calling via a friend that she knew, and that's where it's got to start, okay? The good thing out of it all was she actually met her husband on a Skype call, like face-to-face, many years ago. But they didn't actually get to know each other until, say, 2 or 3 years ago. Well, they've been married 2 years, so it was about 3 years ago or something. So good things can come out of it. We don't have to be a parent that breeds fear, but we do have to be a parent that's prepared to step up and have genuine, honest conversations about what's going on the internet, what we expect of our kids. I'll go into all of this in the list. What they can do with inappropriate behaviour, and that's another reason why we have these talks with our kids, so that they know they can come to us and be honest. They don't have to fear us being judgmental or going, getting on their case because something bad has happened. They need to be able to come to us and have a conversation about either being bullied and not letting the bullying go and go and go until the point that they're suicidal, but coming to us and letting us know it's happening already. So teaching them to identify what bullying is, and don't leave it to a school, okay? That won't happen, okay? We've got to step up as parents and teach them what bullying is, what it's like when someone makes you feel icky, off, uncomfortable. What are we going to do about that then? I had really strict attitudes around whether they could talk to people they didn't know or not. The answer was they couldn't. If they went on an app like Kik, they had to be in chat rooms with only people that they knew. So they couldn't see who they're talking to. So it had to be in a group of people that they knew. They couldn't go onto Kik. My sons didn't bother with it, but my daughter did, and have conversations with people that they hadn't seen face to face, okay? So they might not necessarily know them in depth, but unless you've seen this person face to face, you are not having a conversation with them. So whilst I never went into my daughter's conversations, I didn't have a need to, because I see her every day and I know what she's like. I know how she's reacting in life. So I knew that she was on there with a group of people that she knew. You don't want your children on any form of social media with people that they don't know and they can't see. Because remember, even on Facebook, people can put up fake profile pictures, okay? I mean, when you know, they're easy to pick. But if you don't know, then it's hard to pick, okay? So they can just drop and drag photos off Google these days and set up a Facebook page with all these photos, seemingly as a young adult, and your kids might think, oh, great. But teach them to have the conversations with their other friends and say, do you actually know this person? Okay? If we don't teach them, they'll never learn. They'll never know. And they've got to be able to have conversations, not just with us, but with the people they're on the internet with, so that they're asking really good, healthy questions, which is something I should put up as well. Obviously not today, because I don't like keeping you for long lengths of time. But definitely questions, we'll look into that, questions that can be asked of the person on the other end so they can identify whether that person's genuine or not. So, lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of talking about what is and isn't appropriate to the standards and values that you hold in your own home. And I can't emphasize enough how important that is, because some of the kids, when my young adults were teenagers, their parents just let them wander the streets, use whatever phone, data, etc., that they wanted. These kids were out drinking and invariably end up at my place, not doing drugs at my place, but drinking and doing drugs out of home, and their parents didn't even know, because their parents aren't keeping contact as to what's happening in their life. And it was so sad. We can't be those type of parents anymore, because it can lead our kids down into deep, dark paths. Like the girl who messaged me about the app Amino, it's led her into a place where it led her into pornography. And at 13 years of age, she's addicted. We have to ask ourselves as parents the hard questions. Do we want that for our own children? Or do we want to be parents who are militant about what can happen to our children and start having real hard conversations with them? Use the parenting controls to stop adult content and inappropriate apps being downloaded. Your own carrier will have options. I'm not sure about Australian carriers, but in America, carriers have options to set parental controls. They didn't have those options when I was raising my kids, but now that I will have grandkids, then I'm going to be all over that like frog in a salt. It's just going to happen. I want to know if the carrier that my kids obviously have their young kids on, can you have parental controls? But the sad thing is, even with parental controls and everything else, children will still come across pornography at the age of 8, around that 7, 8, and definitely by teenagehood. So we've got to have even harder conversations, but we can do that tomorrow. Now, with our teenagers, they will learn how to hide apps, because they know that you're all over what's happening for them on their screen time, okay? So you need to Google how to hide apps, and I've seen my youngest do this, and not because he was hiding it from me. It was just something he did, was change the cover of his app, okay? And he showed me. That's what you can do. And so parents don't think that they'll just have a quick look, pick up the phone, oh yeah, quick look, yeah, that app looks fine, and they don't go in and delve a bit deeper. So you've got to learn how to hide apps in order that when your teenager is trying to hide an app, you can spot it straight away. Now, there is an app called Teen Safe, and it's a full-on website as well, where you can download it onto the phone or the computer or tablet, and you will then be able to view their texts, calls, and browsing history. You can see their contacts, and it even shows you messages on WhatsApp and Kik. It also tracks location, current and previous. You need that because it will keep your kids safe, okay, your teenagers safe. So just say you don't expect this to happen, because we all say it's never going to happen to my kids, and you can go on YouTube and see that it does happen to your kids, where someone contacts them, says we'll meet you in a park, and they turn up and it's someone that's been an adult actually setting them up and being abducted. Okay, to teach that child that it does happen, that people aren't genuine on the internet. You can see those things happen for real. So we want to be proactive as parents and do things like download the Teen Safe, so that if that did happen, worst case scenario, it happened, you would know where your teenager is, okay? Where they've been. Actually, I was reading a blog on this, and the mother said, right, yeah, you know, yeah, you weren't down near the sex shop or something like that, you know, just as she said it just as a joke, but it's very real that we can know where our teenagers have been, okay? It's important that they know that we'll call them on their lies as well, okay? My eldest struggled with this immensely with me. He's finally learned, don't bother lying, because just mum can see through it. And we as mums can. We can see when they're lying. And use this as a positive thing. It doesn't mean we have to be in their face and invasive in their personal conversations. What it does mean is I've got the ability to know if you're missing where you are, okay? And if you're on WhatsApp and Kik, and I've got to tell you, you have to be careful on WhatsApp and Kik, and even more careful on Viber. So we can use Viber and WhatsApp as adults, and they have become more regulated, safer over the years, but you're still on them. And make sure you're only having conversations with people you know, because people you don't know will try and get access to you. Even if, as adults, you sign up on Viber, next thing you know, you can get heaps of messages from people you don't know. Just block and delete. If you don't know them, block and delete. Okay, you don't want to know. All right, so that's a lot to take on board as a parent. There is more. I am going to talk to you tomorrow, or talk with you is probably better, about how to have the pornography talk with your teenager, because it's so important, because they will come across it. Their brains are not fully formed, and it will be hard for them to handle it, okay? Because let's face it, every teenager's 10 foot tall and bulletproof, and they believe they can handle whatever comes their way. We know that they only have to make one mistake and send one sext or one picture, and the next thing you know, the whole school can have it. And that is definitely one thing I impress upon my kids. Whatever you put out there, it can go global. So just don't do it, okay? All right, thanks for joining in today. It's been wonderful. Thanks for the love. Please share, because other mums need to know this for their kids to keep them safe too. We're the generation that's going to have the conversations that nobody else has had to have before us, so let's do them well. All right, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to comment below or private message me. Happy to answer and help wherever I can. All right, I will see you tomorrow, and we will be having our conversation on how to have the conversation around porn with our kids. Okay? Blessings and dreams.